Hello, Year 3 and Year 4. This is our third history lesson today. So I'll just move us over to the PowerPoint where we can get started with our context for the lesson, which is the trade routes and the early explorers before Captain Cook. Okay. Now, we've just had two lessons looking at the lifestyle and culture of the Aboriginal people. Today we'll be looking at the people who came to Australia before Captain Cook, and next week we start looking at Captain Cook's first voyage. Okay, so our learning intention today is to learn about the early explorers before Captain Cook. And if we're successful at that, you should be able to explain how we know Indonesian fishermen visited Northern Australia before 1770, and name 3 early explorers before Captain Cook and where they landed in Australia. Now, to put this into context, the last 2 lessons we've focused on describing how Aboriginal people lived before they were influenced by British settlers. In early versions of Australia's history, much was made about how Captain Cook discovered Australia in 1770. This thinking is now considered to be politically incorrect because Aboriginal people were living in Australia for many thousands of years before 1770, and there is evidence that people from other countries visited parts of Australia long before Captain Cook. And the first of these that we'll look at is the Indonesian fishermen. Okay, now China in the 15th, 16th centuries was a very dominant country, and they really enjoyed eating sea cucumber, which this is an example of one here, although they do vary quite a bit with different varieties. And the Chinese were pushing the Indonesian people to supply them with these sea cucumbers. And they started out in an island from Indonesia called Sulawesi, and they got further and further away as they were harvesting the sea cucumbers until they reached Northern Australia, where they found quite good supplies in the waters off the North Australian coast. Historians aren't sure as to how long this had been happening, but estimates are from around the 16th century or the 1500s. Okay, how do we know this? These are images, paintings, Aboriginal rock art paintings of Indonesian fishing boats. It's called a prau. And the dating of these images suggests that men from the East Indies or Sulawesi may have begun visiting Australia as early as the 16th century. Now, scientists are able to date these by taking samples of the paint that they used and carbon dating it, and believe that these rock art paintings were made from 1517 to sometime, or within the period of 1517 to 1664. Now, historians are always searching for evidence. Anyone can propose an idea or have a theory, but without evidence, it has no basis in fact and is therefore not historical. Okay, so we can't just make a claim, we need to have evidence to back it up. So the study of history must be concerned with truth proven by evidence. So where is the evidence for this? We've seen the rock art painting, but all of these indicators here are places where there has been evidence of Indonesian fishermen visiting Australia, to the point where they believe that they even had some processing sites where they would dry the sea cucumbers to preserve them before sailing back to take them to Indonesia. Okay, I'm going to leave this video here and I will recommence with the next one in a few minutes.